Writers, if you have a tendency to overuse similes in your writing or you just want to make your writing sing, I've got a useful tool for your writer's tool belt, the verbless metaphor, sometimes known as the nominal metaphor or even just a rhetorical fragment. Writers and poets for whom the verbless metaphor is pretty central to their writing include the likes of Toni Morrison, Cormac McCarthy, Maggie Nelson, Dennis Johnson, and Anne Carson. So we're talking pretty rarefied air here, and the good news is this is a very easy skill to learn. The verbless metaphor, as the name suggests, is a fragment that serves as a metaphor. It's got a tremendous amount of punch and emphasis when used correctly, and it can be really useful in varying sentence structure. We'll take a look at an example from literature and then take a look at how you might use it in your own writing. But first, let's take a look at a passage from Cormac McCarthy's The Road. He leaned on the handle and looked down the long straightaway. The thin trees down, the waterways a gray sludge, a blackened jackstraw land. Notice those last three sentences are fragment sentences, as there is no verb and there's no simile to be seen. McCarthy is not saying the waterways were like a gray sludge. He's using a metaphor to simply place the two next to each other, leaving the reader to make the inference themselves, and in doing so, heightening the physical attributes of, for instance, the waterways. However, traditionally in a metaphor, lines like the thin trees down or the waterways a gray sludge would be written as the thin trees were down and the waterways were a gray sludge. But McCarthy has omitted those pesky be verbs and instead put forth a metaphor without a verb. It creates an incredibly bleak atmosphere that is, of course, central to that novel, but it also plays with the rhythm. We have this kind of parataxis here as our character itemizes the desolation without surprise or even hope. So let's say you're writing a scene where you're already using just a ton of similes and it's feeling overwritten. So you come to this line, quote, "The man stood in the road like a statue." Now you could eliminate the simile and assign the resulting metaphor into a fragment like this, quote, "The man stood in the road, a statue." Notice how new emphasis falls on that metaphor, but not only that, it adds a dimension of isolation, stillness, and inaction, like a statue. As with all things rhetorical grammar, this is a tool that's best used deliberately and with some restraint, but in the right context, it can really make your writing sing. Let me know in the comments what writers you'd like to emulate or other grammatical tools you'd like to learn, and I may cover that in a future video.